We all know there are people that don't really like to watch foreign shows that are in a different language other than English, but they are missing out because some of these foreign shows are freaking awesome and deserve to be watched by many. Well, this video is going to be helping out those people because I will be covering the awesome Netflix original Spanish series Money Heist. So for people that don't want to watch with subtitles or English dubbed, this video is perfect for you. This video will be telling the story of Season 1 of Money Heist, and I will do the whole series in the next few videos, so the whole story will be on my channel. If you just want to recap a single episode, you can find those timestamps in the description below, and it goes without saying, but there will be spoilers in this video. With that all said, let's get it started. Episode 1. Do as planned. The show begins where we meet Tokyo, who is an experienced criminal mainly dealing with bank robberies, and as she is running from the cops, someone approaches her with a job offer. An illegal job offer to commit one of the biggest heists in the history of Spain. This man wants to rob the Royal Mint of Spain, which is like their Federal Reserve. He has recruited 8 experienced criminals to help out with this job, and they are planning on stealing 2.4 billion euros from this bank. They all have code names, so they won't know anything about each other, so whenever they get the money, they all go their separate ways, and if one gets caught, they can't rat out the others this way. The man in charge and brains behind the operation will go by the professor. The other criminals will go by obviously Tokyo. Then we have Berlin, a diamond thief, Moscow with his son Denver, who specializes in machinery, Rio, the hacker, Helsinki, Oslo, and a counterfeiter Nairobi. So they will be splitting the earnings 9 ways. The day of the robbery comes, and a young woman by the name of Alison Parker is there with her classmates, but she also happens to be the daughter of a British ambassador who is very close with the Queen of England. The professor obviously planned it this way, as they will be able to use her as hostage in the takeover. Also in the bank that we will learn a lot about is an employee by the name of Monica who happens to be having an affair with the mint manager, Arturo. Monica tells Arturo that she is pregnant, and this just freaks out Arturo because he is married. A little bit later in the day, the gang of robbers break into the bank by disguising themselves as a Brinks truck to get inside the bank without being seen. Tokyo counts 67 hostages that they will use to their advantage. They make everyone give up their phones, but we learn that the professor isn't inside the bank with the others. He will be calling the shots from a secret bunker. They install a way to communicate with the professor the whole time of the heist. When the police learn of the heist, they enlist Raquel Murillo to be the negotiator with the professor. When Rio goes out to tell everyone outside that they better not enter, he is shot by one of the cops outside and is rushed inside immediately, and the episode ends. Episode 2. Lethal Recklessness. The episode opens with Raquel arriving to the scene to get to work and hopefully save every hostage that is inside. That is her #1 goal. Inside the bank, the gang continues their plan of printing money and keeping the hostages safely located together so no one can get away. Rio is then asked to take Alison Parker away from the others because she is going to be the key hostage of the heist, and she will need to be accompanied the entire time. Denver is tasked with giving everyone inside a red jumpsuit, along with a gun that appears to be fake. They want to blend in if the cops were to break inside, which is definitely smart. Reminds me of the movie Inside Man, which is another great heist movie if you haven't seen it. Raquel finally gets in touch with the professor, and he basically tells her the negotiation isn't going to be as easy as she thinks, and he won't budge. Raquel's police partner, Angel, is helping her as well, and it's obvious right off the bat that Angel is in love with Raquel. The Spanish intelligence has shown up as well, and Raquel and Colonel bump heads right off the bat because they want to go about the situation in different ways. The Colonel wants to charge in with SWAT and take them out, but Raquel wants to get everyone out safely. Raquel pleads with the professor to let the children out at least, and that includes Alison Parker, which obviously the professor is not going to agree with because that ruins all of his leverage. Against Raquel's wishes, the Colonel goes up to the bank door and sees inside that everyone has machine guns and are all disguised, so sending SWAT in right away would not be a wise decision because they wouldn't know who are robbers and who aren't. Rio then gets Alison Parker to admit that she is the daughter of a powerful ambassador, and she is being held hostage so the world can see what is happening. One of the rare occasions that the bank robbers want the world to know what they are doing in real time. We also see through flashbacks that Tokyo and Rio got pretty close in the months leading up to the heist, and that is breaking the professor's first rule, which is to not get attached to anyone in their gang. They obviously have been hooking up this whole time. Episode 3. Missed Shot. To kick off this episode, it has been 24 hours and Raquel just finished her shift, so she went to the bar to let off some steam from the stress she has endured. At the bar, she is approached by a man who turns out to be the professor, and he strikes up a friendly conversation with her. So this is why he's doing his work from the outside. Back at the heist, The gang has forced Monica to release a statement to the public that the hostages are doing fine and there's no need to worry at the moment. The statement also says to not enter the bank or people will die. Meanwhile, Berlin has rounded up a few hostages to help him with digging a hole in the bank basement. Rio and Tokyo are supposed to be paying attention to Allison, but they are too busy fighting, and then Allison manages to grab her phone and she alerts the police, who she also sends a picture of Rio to. So now the whole world knows Rio is one of the robbers. Rio then has his ass kicked by the other guys for his lack of ability to follow orders. Back in the basement, where some hostages along with Arturo are digging the hole, and Arturo starts looking around and he finds a ton of weapons along with dynamite, so he's certain that he is going to die, no matter what. The professor had the authorities deliver some drugs inside the bank that they think they will need, along with any medications that the hostages may need. So the robbers do care about the hostages' well-being at least, or else why would they do this? One of the pills is an abortion pill from Monica, which Arturo has requested she take. Denver has taken a liking to Monica and he tells her not to do it, and if she wants to have the baby, she should have the baby. He says not to listen to Arturo, who is just a cheat. Apparently, at some point Monica had pocketed Arturo's phone, and of course the phone rings and Denver and Berlin hear this. Berlin orders Denver to kill Monica, as she is a loose end now, and who knows what she has told the outsiders. Episode 4. Trojan Horse. Denver can't bring himself to kill Monica as he is starting to crush on her, so he shoots her in the leg behind the door and pretends to kill her and then hides her in a vault upstairs so Berlin can't find her. The police keep telling the professor to just surrender, as there is no possible way he is going to get away with this, as the whole world is watching and the bank is completely surrounded by law enforcement. But he doesn't budge. He didn't put in months of work to just give up after 2 days. We also learn that Raquel is having problems with her ex-husband, who keeps trying to keep their daughter away from Raquel, so she has that to add on to the stress of the heist. She also has been meeting up with the professor at the bar, who she believes his name is Salva. This is obviously all a part of the professor's big ruse. Hopefully he doesn't catch feelings though, as that could ruin the whole operation. When the other robbers learn that Berlin ordered Denver to kill Monica, they freak out on him, as that was not part of the plan. But they also don't know that Denver didn't actually kill her. They tell Berlin the plan was no one gets hurt, and it could up their sentence tremendously if they get caught. Moscow is horrified to learn that his son murdered an innocent woman, and whenever Denver gets him alone after having a panic attack, Denver tells his father the truth, which is a relief to Moscow. Monica is in some serious pain though after being shot in the leg, and Denver is trying to take care of her to the best of his ability, but he is obviously no doctor. And he doesn't want to ask anyone else because Berlin could find out she is alive, and then he might kill her. A few of the robbers and Arturo go out onto the roof to catch some fresh air. Arturo hears that Denver killed Monica and this enrages him, so he goes wild. The police see this going on, and since they don't know he isn't a robber, they shoot him in the shoulder and he sprints back inside. And the episode comes to a close. Episode 5. Groundhog Day. Arturo starts bleeding heavily, and some of the robbers do their best to help him out before he bleeds to death. So now we got people tending to Arturo and trying to remove a bullet from him, and then also Denver and Moscow trying to remove the bullet out of Monica's leg. Raquel gets back in touch with the professor, and she is not happy that people are getting shot because he said no one would get hurt if they followed his rules. But that turned out not to be true, as Arturo was shot. The professor agrees with her that a medical staff can be sent into the bank to tend to the injuries that have been suffered. When the medical team goes inside, Angel, Raquel's partner, pretends to be one of the doctors so he can get inside and scope out everything that is going on and get the gist of the operation. Also, while this is going on, the colonel has sent men underground disguised as the robbers, hoping to take them down from the bottom going up. Arturo thinks he is about to die, so he calls his wife and wants to say goodbye to her, but of course this loser accidentally calls her Monica, which I'm sure she loved hearing. The professor sees that Angel is disguised as one of the doctors, and he alerts the robbers inside of the undercover man. The professor then shows off his brilliance by having Berlin confront Angel, and he puts a microphone on Angel's glasses when he isn't paying attention, and now the professor will be able to hear everything going on inside the negotiation van, hence the name Trojan Horse for the episode. The episode ends with us learning a little bit more about Nairobi, who has been fairly quiet so far, and she only joined the heist so she could take her son out of foster care and live a life with him in another country. Episode 6. The Hot Cold War. This episode opens with Rio talking with Allison, and they seem to be getting along until she tries taking his gun from him, and he has to get physical with her to get it back, and for some weird reason, he tells her his real name, which is Anibal Cortez. Back to the guys that are planning on sneaking in the vent system, trying to figure out the best place to enter, and save as many hostages as they can. Nairobi went looking around the bank making sure everything was okay, and she catches Moscow and Denver working on Monica's leg. So she now knows that Monica isn't really dead, and she wonders about telling Berlin. The professor then notices that they are in the vent system, and he warns everyone else about the possible break-in. This dude is smart, and he tells everyone inside to switch their masks to a different one, including the hostages, so they will be able to tell the officers apart from everyone else. Seriously, the professor is ready for anything they throw at him. Raquel catches wind of this and orders the officers to retreat immediately. We then see a flashback of Tokyo and the professor talking leading up to the heist, and she asks him where he got the idea for such an elaborate plan, and he tells her the idea wasn't his, but he is fulfilling it for the person that did do it. We can assume his father, who is dead now. The professor then overhears with the secret microphone Angel and Raquel talking, and Angel asks her why she won't give him a chance, and she just says he isn't her type and they work better as partners. Raquel then tells Angel that she is crushing on Salva, which angers Angel even more. Salva being the professor. Back inside the bank, the robbers watch the news and they see a segment where Rio's parents are talking to the public about how disappointed they are in their son's criminal behavior. Remember, Allison snapped that picture of Rio's face with the phone earlier, so his identity was revealed to the world. We can tell that this really upsets Rio to hear his parents say that. Tokyo then tries comforting him. Tokyo then barges into the office Berlin has been hanging in and tells Berlin to call the professor and tell him a hostage is dead, and when they call and tell him this, the professor is not happy, but he also doesn't know Monica is still alive. This could change his whole plan though, so we will see what happens. Episode 7. Chilled Instability. The police have been sifting through tons of security footage of the Mint leading up to heist day, and they discover Rio and Tokyo being there one day, and they see the car that they left in. So now Tokyo's identity is out there for the world to see as well. Bonnie and Clyde 2.0. The professor knows that the car could have tons of their DNA as they all used it, and he wants to make sure it was destroyed, and when he asks Helsinki if he got rid of it, Helsinki said he forgot to do it, so now the professor needs to find the car and scrub it clean before the police find it. The professor heads to the local junkyard to look for the car, and he does end up finding it and scrubbing it clean and is almost caught by the cops, but gets away from the vehicle in a nick of time. He has to disguise himself as a homeless dude when he is confronted by the lot owner, as he doesn't want to be identified, but he plays a homeless man perfectly. The professor might be one of my favorite characters of all time. Back in the bank, Rio and Tokyo are discussing how their lives are pretty much over, and if by some chance they do get out of this with the money and free, they need to go find a secluded island to spend the rest of their days on together. When the professor gets back to his bunker, the police get a hold of him and beg him to release some hostages to show that they can be trusted and are not torturing the hostages inside. If they don't release hostages soon, the SWAT team will have no choice but to enter the bank. It's been 72 hours with no movement whatsoever from either side. They also want Allison Parker to be included in those 8 hostages, and the professor records the audio to release to the public to make Raquel look bad and make it seem all they care about is getting Allison Parker out safely and no one else. Episode 8. You have searched for it. Raquel is receiving a ton of backlash for her comments about saving Allison Parker, and the professor is painting the perfect picture that he wants represented by the media. That the cops are the bad guys here, not the robbers. The backlash has been so bad that her daughter's father has convinced her daughter Paula that she wants to live with her father for the time being and not Raquel. We then see flashbacks of the professor explaining to the gang the importance of being portrayed as the good guys and making the police seem like the overbearing bullies in the hostage situation. He says the public support is the most key part of the heist, as if they lose the support of the public won't care if any of them die. The professor wants people to think they are on their side, and they are doing this as a big EFFU to the government, and that is why they picked the Royal Mint of Spain. Back to the heist, and we see the tunnel is still being dug, and a lot of work has been made regarding that and printing the money. That is why the heist is taking so long. They are printing but loads of money and need time to stall while they dig their tunnel. I am confused how they think this will work with law enforcement literally everywhere around them. How long a tunnel they digging? The police then devise a plan to get the public on their side by making up a story about Berlin and making him come off as a human trafficker and terrible person. While he is a pretty bad person, he isn't a trafficker, but the police think this will help gain support for whenever they do decide to invade the bank. People will want him dead. Angel and Raquel soon learn that Berlin has a medical condition and he needs Retroxyl to survive, so they are going to limit the medication for him, and that will force him to leave the bank or die. It's pretty much a death sentence either way, as he will die in less than 24 months with or without the medicine. Tokyo has been getting jealous with how close Allison and Rio have gotten, and it is just turning into a big love triangle, which I didn't really expect from a heist show, but you gotta have relationship drama in there somehow, I guess. The episode ends with Berlin's old cellmate showing up to the scene to talk to Raquel and tell her everything he knows about Berlin. Episode 9. He who follows it, gets it. Season finale. The finale opens up with Monica and Denver talking, and Denver is starting to fall in love with her, and we're going to see some crazy Stockholm Syndrome type thing here, and she's going to fall for him, isn't she? When Nairobi sees the story on the news about Berlin being a trafficker, she confronts him for being the terrible person he is, and he tries to explain to her that it's not true and that is just the cops trying to turn everyone against him. He then learns that his identity was revealed when they found one of his jacket buttons in the car in the junkyard after the professor wiped it clean. Berlin thinks Denver left it there on purpose, as he wore his jacket one time he took the car out. Of course, Berlin starts stomping around the bank looking for Denver, so he can confront him about revealing his identity to the whole world, and he wants to repay the favor back. Nairobi tries calming him down as she thinks Berlin is about to kill Denver, and she also doesn't want Berlin to see that Monica is still alive. Meanwhile, Rio and Tokyo make it official and they are boyfriend and girlfriend now. Berlin has found Denver, and he has also uncovered that Monica is still alive, and he is not happy one bit, and he wants to end them both. But Nairobi pleads with him not to make that decision and ruin everything. No one has died yet, so murder isn't on the table if they get caught. The professor gets a hold of Berlin and tells him to retreat to Plan Valencia, which is a code name to fake a massacre in the whole bank, and this makes Raquel think there were casualties, and she immediately tells the professor that she wants proof of life of everyone in 30 minutes, or she will have no choice but to send in the army. Episode 10. The masks are over. The episode begins with Nairobi bonding with Allison, as Allison's classmates have turned against her because the public wants her freed and no one else. Helsinki shows Arturo that Monica is alive, and his baby is not dead as he thought. But wasn't Arturo just wanting an abortion like at the beginning of the season? The professor hadn't sent Raquel a proof of life video yet, so she orders to him to let her inside so she can check for herself, and he actually agrees. Berlin shows Raquel that all of the hostages are safe one by one, and are being fed and given water, and no one is injured. Meanwhile, upstairs Arturo is still trying to find a way to escape, and he wants Allison and Monica to help him, but they are hesitant because they don't want to get hurt by trying something stupid. Arturo is not very happy either that Denver and Monica have gotten so close. After Raquel has been shown all of the hostages' safety, she tells Berlin that she knows about his condition and knows he will die in less than 2 years even if he receives all this money, and she thinks he has nothing to lose if this all goes south. Upstairs, Allison has managed to escape free, and she goes to lock herself inside a safe, but Nairobi catches her before she can shut it. Berlin tells the others the truth that he doesn't have long to live, but that doesn't mean he isn't giving everything he has for this heist, and he wants to succeed and live his last days in luxury with a buttload of money. Raquel knew that they would search her and take her hidden microphone off, but she used it so Rio's parents could tell him to turn himself in and end this nightmare. It was all a ploy to get to him. Episode 11. The head of the plan. The episode begins with the gang getting excited when Moscow finally hits dirt after digging in the vault. You mean to tell me this hole has barely been dug? How in the world are they going to dig a huge tunnel to get out? Raquel learns that the robbers have triggered explosives at every exit, so if they try breaking in, they could be blown to smithereens. Raquel uses the hidden microphone to talk to Rio and offer him a reduced sentence if he just turns himself in and ends this whole heist. But Rio declines as he already knew they would try getting someone to flip. It just happened to be Rio, and he isn't falling for it. Tokyo overhears this and is considering telling Rio to take the deal because she is falling for him, and she doesn't want to see him spend the rest of his life behind bars. But she also knows if he gets caught, she will go down too and probably be in jail for a very long time. Moscow then tells him to not give in. They made an oath to finish this heist, and that is what they are going to do. Back in the negotiation van, Angel has started to suspect Salva is the mystery guy behind the professor voice because he thinks it's awfully convenient Salva just shows up and starts hitting on the one lady that is in charge of all the negotiations. But Raquel doesn't buy it and just says that he is jealous Raquel is with someone that isn't him. Raquel then arranges for her and Salva to have dinner with one another, and she will question him there to see if she can see any signs he is the mastermind of the operation. Back inside the bank, Arturo is planning an escape and he really doesn't care at this point. He thinks he is dead regardless, so why not go out swinging? Denver and Monica then make love. Yeah, we knew Stockholm Syndrome was coming with this one. Raquel then meets with Salva for dinner, and she does think he is the professor, and she orders him to take her to his hideout so she can see his operation. Episode 12. Question of effectiveness. Salva takes Raquel to his hideout where he says he sells cider, and he gives Raquel some to taste, and she does believe that he sells cider and apologizes to him for thinking he was the professor, and then they hook up. The next day, Angel discovers that there was a pair of fingerprints on the car from the junkyard that match Salva's that he snuck one day, so now Angel knows for a fact Salva is the professor. He just has to convince Raquel now, but he can't get a hold of her because she is too busy shagging with the enemy. As he is trying to get a hold of her and leaving her messages while driving, he becomes too distracted and crashes his car. Back in the bank, Arturo caught Monica and Denver doing the deed, and boy, he was not happy about this, and he assumes Denver was assaulting her and it wasn't consensual. They fight and Denver wins, but as this is going on, a few hostages are trying to escape. As they try leaving one of the exits, one of the bombs goes off and a huge shootout ensues between the army and the robbers. One of the robbers, Oslo, is shot and injured very badly, and Tokyo is able to clear the pathway when she goes ham with a machine gun that forces the army to retreat. They get the door closed, but the damage has been done to Oslo, and all the professor can do is watch his life's plan unfold, as this was not supposed to happen. We also find out through a flashback that the heist plan was his father's work, and this is why he wanted to complete it so bad. His father was a mastermind bank robber as well, and he wanted to follow in his dad's footsteps. Episode 13. What have we done? Part 1 Finale. Follow that epic shootout. It is shown that 15 hostages were able to escape out of the exit before they were injured, and most of them were students, so a lot of the other hostages are relieved. Helsinki is hoping Oslo is going to recover from his injuries, but it is not looking too good at the moment. The gang decides what they want to do about Oslo because he needs to be hospitalized, but Berlin doesn't want to throw away the whole heist because of one life. Berlin even says Oslo told him he would rather die than them fail the heist. They are going to let Oslo die, and this upsets Helsinki. Helsinki wants to take out his anger on Arturo because he was the one that planned the escape in the first place, and if he didn't do that, Oslo would be fine. Helsinki then decides against killing Arturo. Raquel asks Salva to drive her to a location where the police believe the plotting of the heist went down. Raquel doesn't know that Salva is the professor, but it's going to be revealed soon. We just know it. Especially when Angel wakes up after recovering. When they arrive there are cops everywhere, and of course the professor is freaking out because he has no idea what they could find inside the house, as they were there for months before the heist. Part 1 ends with Berlin and the professor singing together, obviously being a flashback, and we learn that Berlin is actually brothers with the professor, and he is doing this for their father as well. But that is how Season 1 of Money Heist ends. Both Seasons 1 and 2 are devoted to this heist, so the story will continue there for my next video. We'll have all seasons up soon, so hope you can check those ones out too. Head on over to Season 2 if you want to keep the story going.